A request to address the board. Mr. Joe Bonadies, first on the list.
Greetings. Since the public has no standing at these meetings, I would like to take my 3 minutes to review some of your policies regarding interactions with the public. Let me start by saying this is 2024, and we are in a relatively high technology communication world, which those in 2040 will giggle at, but here we are. Many of you work in offices and receive a large amount of incoming electronic communications. Looking at the Board of Education webpage, we find the following at the bottom. Quote, the Board of Education can be contacted via email at board@midlandps.org. You can also connect on Facebook, X, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. The mailing address for the school board is not obvious at the upper levels of the webpage. However, on your agenda, you report letters to the board. Occasionally, we see email submissions in your data pack from people requesting FOIAs, but not always unless Mr. Bruton specifically calls for it to be included. Yes, we have those records. So it looks like no one spends much time communicating with the board unless it's by the U.S. mail in an envelope or maybe hands it in. I'm sure all of you handle things at your day jobs with only paper showing up in an envelope. Maybe it is time to update the policy or the behavior to show your level of interaction with the community. And no, I don't want to see all the bills and invoices. That's irrelevant. Second, as my wife Renita mentioned at the last meeting, the Open Meeting Act in MCL 15.267 requires a roll call vote that the purpose be stated in the open meeting in which the roll call was taken. In 2 of the past meetings, the board went into closed sessions without a roll call vote. The board president defended their process, saying that there was a 7-0 and a 6-0 vote at these 2 meetings, so it met the 2/3 vote requirement. But that is not the whole requirement. It requires a roll call vote. That is not the same thing as a voice vote. These details do not seem to matter to this board. I guess the law is for us, but not for you to follow. We would still look to respectfully request the minutes of those 2 closed meetings since the board did not follow the law. And I personally was offended when the 2 ladies on the board smirked at each other while calling for and seconding the roll call vote for closed session at the last board meeting. There's your 3 minutes instead of 5. Liberty once lost is lost forever. Thank you.
Mr. Renita Bonadies.
Good evening. MCL 15.234, Section 1, a public body may charge a fee for a public record search if it has established, makes publicly available, and follows procedures and guidelines to implement this section as described in Section 4. MPS still has posted procedures on its website, though it is refusing to follow those procedures. Until MPS has posted procedures that it will follow, they are not permitted to charge a fee for FOIA responses under Section 4, but must still fulfill the request. I put in a FOIA request on February 2nd. I noticed my FOIA did not appear in the agenda packet for today's meeting. It was for a copy of all FOIA requests, responses, and fees that MPS has received since October 16th of 2022, not to include mine. I was charged $160, which included an additional $2.53 for a thumb drive, which I did not request. So I guess the district continues to charge FOIA fees against FOIA law. I paid $766 for FOIA fees during the time I'm told you do not have a valid procedure and guidelines posted. I noticed that only certain FOIA requests were put in the agenda packets from those received. Others were in the packets but weren't given to me during this request. Like, I'm not sure why mine wasn't included this time since it was submitted over 2 weeks ago. I found that most FOIAs were fulfilled for no fee. Reasons given: 1, there is no charge to fulfill this request. 2, the district has determined that a waiver of the fees assessed for processing your FOIA request is in the public interest, even when the requester didn't request the waiver. And the final one, these documents are board record, therefore free of charge, because they were deemed in the public's interest. A lawyer submitted a FOIA that had 54 request items, and the response alone was 14 pages, sent by USPS and at no additional charge for postage. He received a variety of documents to the FOIA, plus additional information, and paid only $262. He also received a letter from Thrun, MPS's law firm, and I quote, "Please assure all future communication from you and your law firm are directed to me." Seems this lawyer can now skip the FOIA process and fees and go directly to using taxpayer money to pay for his interactions in the future. I've paid over $1,000 for FOIA fees over the past 2 years. 670 of that has been for agenda packets. These should be made publicly available at no additional cost. Many other public entities either post these online before a meeting or email them at no charge by request. Why does MPS charge so much or anything at all for these packets? Thank you.